Welcome to the Take Action podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Simmons, here to help you take massive action to being your best self. Many people don't believe in their own potential and don't always have the courage to change their situation. Join me and other guests as we give you practical ways to releasing your potential so that you can be your best self. Now let's stop playing and take action. What's up, y'all? It's Nicole here with another great episode. And my guest today is Steph Courter. And she is a certified fitness nutrition coach. And she really has a passion to help women have sustainable lives and have healthy lifestyles. And y'all, she is a lifetime bikini competitor. She has competed in several competitions and she is on her way to pro. You got to follow her Instagram too, because she has some inspiring things on there if you are really about your fitness journey as well. But we're going to dig in some things today and talk about what it means, what this Freedom Trio means. So y'all, please help me welcome Steph Courter to the Take Action podcast show. Steph, how you doing?
I am doing so well. Thank you so much for having me. I am honestly honored to be here.
Yes, when I met you and just came across your path, I was like, yeah, there's an alignment here. There's something about this woman I like. I just like her. So I had to have you on the show. When we thought about talking about this whole concept of Freedom Trio, talking about faith, fitness, and leadership, you really were a person that came to mind to me. And so I was like, I want to hear her insights and her take on this trio and what it means, what has meant to her. But before we dive into the conversation, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience about yourself?
No, just that I am super excited, to be here. When you reached out and faith and fitness, freedom, that is exactly what I'm all about. It's literally like my business name is Faith and Training, Fit by Steph. So this is going to be really exciting. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, let's dig into it. So I'm calling it the trio because I believe, right, that there's an aspect especially when you're on your health and fitness journey. For me, it has created freedom. I know for you, it has created a level of freedom, right?
Yeah.
But for me and for you, there's other aspects. There's our faith, and then there's the leadership side as well.
Mhm.
And so, kind of to dig into the conversation, when you hear of those three things together, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? What does faith, fitness, and leadership have to do? Like, how are they integrated for you?
Well, for me, it really comes down to like faith is like that centerpiece, right? Like for me, once you have faith, whether it's in God, in yourself, like you have faith that it will all work out and that there is a greater plan for you. And that as long as you do the work, you put the work in and you show up for yourself and you are humble enough to learn lessons and help other people and just share and be transparent. Once you have that faith, everything else becomes a lot easier because you're not afraid of the unknowns because you know that your faith will guide you through and that as long as you do what you need to do, whether it's the workouts in the gym or showing up, for your family, for your in your career, for your friends, whatever it is, as long as you are doing what you need to do, you will get there. Now, the timing, unknown, but again, that faith will help get you through. That's where the freedom comes in. Once you have the faith that what is meant for you will happen and in your time, it gives you the freedom to then say, okay, I'm going to stop stressing about the things I can't control because
Mm.
Lord knows we try to control a whole lot in our lives. And then we just focus on the things that we can control, like our attitude, how we show up for ourselves, how we show up for our family, like I said. And then it just, you start to embody that leadership that other people are looking for. You start to inevitably become a role model for others
Mhm.
because you're living and you're walking in that path that others are still kind of wrestling with and they have goals and they have things they want to accomplish and work on, but they're not quite there yet. They haven't reached that level of faith. They don't have the freedom yet. And you coming along, it's almost like you have a duty to
Mm.
share your story, to be a light for others, to give out advice and be a shoulder to cry on, but also give some tough love. Because once you have that freedom and you're in that leadership position, you're whether you like it or not, you're elevated, right? And at that point, if you continue to help others and share your experiences and bring others along with you, it only makes you better, right? If the people around you know that they have somebody to look up to, and they're like, Steph and Nicole, they get knocked down, they get back up. They have that faith. They are grinding every day. They're doing what, it helps to have that around. I'm so sorry. That role model around them to be able to go through those hard days, because we all have hard days, but I think once you have the faith, it gives you the freedom. And at that point, that there's that fork in the road. And if you decide to continue down the path, the leadership just comes, right along with it.
Tell us a little bit about your fitness journey, and how did faith and then your leadership play into your journey. So let's start us from wherever you want to start from.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so I've always been like naturally a natural leader. Like, I know that about myself. It's definitely a quality that I lean into, whether it's,
Mhm.
career or, in my family and stuff like that. I've always kind of been somebody that like just like I'm always the one that like the group project, I'll take it on, I'll organize it, we'll get this done type of thing. So that
Mhm.
just lended itself to my fitness story. So I have always been very skinny. I'm 5 feet tall. I graduated high school at like 98 pounds. I was little and scrawny and weak, and I did not like that. uh, it got to the point where when someone told me that I was like skinny or looking skinny, it would just get under my skin. So I was
Mm.
like, I need to do something about this. Like, I want to be fit. Like, I've always admired people who can go into the gym, whether it's at home or not, just lift the weights and be fit and healthy, right? Like, I was that girl like in high school and college where like I was skinny, but I was living off like 2 Red Bulls and a cookie a day. Like, it was
Oh, good.
bad.
Yeah.
That I don't have that metabolism anymore. So thank God I found fitness. But I went to the gym, and then that first year was rough because I really just went to the treadmill. I didn't I that was back in those 6, 7 years ago, where the gyms, at least in my area, it was like there was like the men's section where that had the weights, and then
Yep.
the women's section was just like the cardio equipment, right? And it was
Oh,
intimidating, man. These men in these like stringy t-shirts and the gallon jugs grunting and throwing stuff. Like, what woman wanted to go in there, right?
right.
And then, thankfully, I'm so grateful that I have an outgoing personality. Like, sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble, but I'm always gonna like talk and introduce myself and stuff. So I made friends at the gym, and I met people who kind of took me under their wing. And coincidentally, one of them was a competitor. She was a figure pro competitor. And
Mm.
I was just like, my goodness, I just admired her work ethic and just what she was able to do, because she had a big transformation and everything. So long story short, I got interested, and I've always been also goal driven. So I think it's important, as you hear this story, to, if you're listening to this, lean into those strengths, right? Like I said, I'm a natural born leader. I'm outgoing. I'm also goal driven. I know that about myself. So I
Mhm.
knew that if I signed up for a competition, I
Mm.
like, come hell or high water, I was showing up that day for that competition. And
Right.
that first competition, I bought my suit off Amazon.
Mhm.
My mother-in-law and I bedazzled it in the kitchen. This was like 2050. Yeah, we've come a long way. Thank God for Angel Competition bikinis. But back then I just, I bedazzled it and I stepped on that stage and I fell in love with it. And, the idea of having those goals and everything just kind of spiraled. And then because I am so outgoing and I talk about my story and I'm transparent and stuff, people started asking me for fitness advice.
Mhm.
And um for a while there, I was giving out, advice here and there. Someone would message me or text me, or a family member at a gathering or whatever, and I'd give
Mhm.
out advice for free. But I didn't, in my conscience, I just didn't feel right morally, not like charging anybody money if I wasn't certified, and I didn't really have anything to like back up my my coaching. So I
Right.
went, I got certified. Super proud of it. I'm actually like, I can see my I've got my little plaque up right here with my certificate and everything. And then I started, Fit by Steph, which is Faith and Training by Steph. And then I just put it out there and said, hey, I'm certified if anyone wants to work with me and stuff. And lo and behold, people applied. People wanted to work with me. And it definitely was one of those moments where I was like, you get the imposter syndrome a little bit. You're like, they want to work with me? Like,
Right.
you're gonna pay me
You
money,
sure?
like, but, I had faith in myself, and I knew that the coaching and the advice that I was gonna give and the support, I could lean on that. Like, I knew that I was really going to be able to help however many people were signing up and wanted to work with me. And then
Mhm.
once you build that clientele, then you have some transformations that you can share, and it just goes, it evolves from there. And now I'm at the point where I'm potentially trying to take this full time and maybe even quit my career as a, corporate product manager and maybe take this, full time. I'm realizing that my passion for helping, women live healthier, more sustainable. That's a big thing. I'm not about those, lose 10 pounds in a week. That's not me.
Okay.
I want the sustainable lifestyle and I want people to be confident. I wasn't confident when I first started out, and I attribute a lot of my confidence now to those people who took me under their wing back then and
Yeah.
believed in me. So if I can just give that back, I feel like, I can continue to grow. I can grow my business, and in turn I can, help other people be better, better moms, better wives, just better career women, just show up better for themselves. So it's a little bit about how I got started, but yeah.
I love it. And your story is a little different than some of even the guests that I've had on and people that I've talked to, even in the fitness industry, right? Where you were on the other side, where you were smaller.
God.
You
Mhm.
were 98 pounds at graduation. Like
Woo.
we don't. We just don't hear a lot of stories from that perspective. So I appreciate
Exactly.
you sharing that. How that also goes to the mentality around fitness, right? That fitness or transformation is not just about having to lose a bunch of weight,
It isn't.
you
It's,
know?
physical transformations, whether you lose a bunch of weight or you realize that you need to put on some weight, in my case, put on some muscle and stuff,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, like the transformations, the mental transformation that happens, that is the biggest transformation, right? Like, think about the habits that you have to ingrain in yourself, those routines, the things you have to say no to, the way
Mhm.
you have to show up every single day, whether
Mhm.
it's in the gym, with your meals, like out and about, with your family, your friends who may not totally understand and stuff. Like, that grit, that fortitude you get,
Yeah.
whether your transformation physically means you lost 100 pounds, or in
Mhm.
my case, in the reverse, I put on some muscle and I'm no longer skinny. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, like, that mental transformation, those intangible skills, that's what you take into your life. That's what builds the confidence to be
Yes.
a good leader in your life, wherever that is, because we all have people who look up to us. We all have people who count on us.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest part. That's the biggest transformation for me that I've seen in folks. It's not, they're more proud of who they are mentally and the confidence that they've gained, the self-esteem that they have,
Mhm.
even more so than their physical transformations.
It's so true, and it's been just a reoccurrent theme. That
Hmm.
the value of the mental uh, training, if you will,
Yeah.
the mental boot camp that you continue
Hmm.
to go through. Right? It's like it does. It's like it's cyclical. It doesn't end. You go.
Exactly.
You go. You're always cycling up as long as you stay in that process. Right? And so
Hmm.
I'm curious, with your fitness journey, how has your fitness journey helped you to become a better leader?
So for me, going back to the mental part of it, right? Like,
Mhm.
my favorite leaders, whether it's in my corporate world or, like famous business coaches that we all know and listen to their podcasts and love and read their books and stuff, like the leaders that I resonate the most with, they
Mhm.
have similar um personality traits, right? Like they have the grit, they lead by example, right? Like the leaders that I look up to or that I want advice from, it's because in some way, shape, or form, they can say they've been there, right? They've walked a mile in those shoes. They've
Mhm.
woken up not wanting to get out of bed that day and tackle whatever the to-do list was. They've struggled with going to the gym and sticking to their meal plan or whatever it is. Like I want I want to be one of those leaders that can say, "Hey, like I have been there. I still have hard days, and
Mhm.
this is how I can lead by example and show you and be transparent." That's a big part of it.
Mhm.
Good leaders are transparent. When they
Mhm.
have great days and they have wins, they celebrate, and everyone can feel the energy and just be really excited. But when they have, something bad happen in their lives or they're not really feeling it, how they react, that's how your
Mhm.
team is going to react, whether the team is an audience of people that are here to listen to your speech, or the
Mhm.
team is at work, or your mom and your family like relies on you, or your husband, your wife, whatever it is. Like being a good leader, you have to
Mhm.
have the grit, the fortitude, the transparency, and you have to be willing to lead by example. I think we all can say we can think of a leader in our lives that has led by example and it's resonated with us
Yeah.
versus a leader, quote unquote, that, you know, wasn't as transparent or kind of kept it surface level. You didn't really know their story. People like a good story. People like to be able to relate to other folks and feel like they're not on an island by themselves. The
Mhm.
worst thing a leader can do is alienate the people that look up to them by not being relatable. So for me, it's about leading by example. I'm going to be transparent. And I just started my competition prep. I'm competing in March, and today's a great day because I just started prep. It's amazing. I posted a picture. I'm happy. I'm on the world. I'm on cloud nine.
Right.
Who knows what Sunday might, I might have a bad weekend, who knows, I might look at that meal plan and regret telling everybody I'm on prep. But I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to document it. I'm going to show the world like what I do on the good days, the bad days, how the faith will take me through,
Mhm.
and it will give me the freedom to say, okay, I can't control the traffic that was there that day. I can't control XYZ. I can't control that person's attitude, but how I show up, I can control that. And
Yeah.
that is the type of leader that I try to be, every day, whether it's at work, on this podcast, to the audience, to my clients, folks online. There's a whole lot of people on social media nowadays. So, I would say if you're looking for someone who has true leadership skills, look at how they're leading by example. How are they living their lives? How are they showing up? And find people who you resonate with.
And you mentioned kind of pushing through, those hard days that way your faith comes into play. And so
Mhm.
how can you tell us how has your faith influenced your fitness and your leadership?
So for me, my goodness, my faith is everything to me. And on those bad days, that is what I lean into, right? Like I have no doubt that
Mhm.
God has an incredible plan for me.
Mhm.
And in his timing, it will all happen, right? So on those bad days,
Mhm.
that is what I lean into. Like I two things. I know I can control how I react, to stuff, but I also like I have a relationship with Christ, so I can just pray. Man, I have prayed in the shower. I have prayed making my meals. I have prayed on the way to work. I have
Mhm.
prayed in the bathroom at work. I have prayed everywhere.
At the
And
gym.
it's just the gym, oh man. Whether it's Lord, let me survive this leg press
Right.
to like whatever it is, I having that faith, like that's like my secret weapon. That's like my armor, the armor of God, right? Like you put that on
Mhm.
and it sounds corny and hokey, but you feel kind of invincible, right? Like, don't you feel like, man, like he is walking right, we got this.
Yeah.
And on those bad days, when I don't feel like working out, and I'm telling you, man, today I I had gotten like 100 steps in. Like I was sat at my desk all day and I needed to get my walk done,
Right.
but the temperature dropped and it was windy and it was cold. It
Oh.
was like I was bundled up. I was miserable,
Mhm.
but I knew one that I had to show up for myself and that I would feel no matter how bad the walk was,
Mhm.
I would feel better after I got it done, right? Like that I got it done. And
Right.
I knew that if I was just like, all right, just, pop in a good podcast. I popped in, a Christian podcast and listened to them talking about faith and God and all the struggles he went through.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm getting at. Is like when you have those bad days, it is not as bad as it could be. And
Yeah.
that's what I also lean on. Is like when you read stories in the Bible and or you just like listen, you just hear other people's stories and stuff like you put
Mhm.
it all into perspective,
Sure.
it is not as bad as it, as it could be. And, there are people out there that are struggling, that are showing up and that still have faith. And I just
Mhm.
lean into that. I say my prayers and I just go in, I'm like, you know what, Lord, like if this is part of your plan for me, like if I need to learn this lesson or if I need to go through this, like you grow through what you go through,
Yeah.
I try to reframe it. Like
Mhm.
I always try to reframe things like in my mindset. But like I am like if I'm going through something bad, like or
Mhm.
you're going through something bad in your life, you had a bad day or whatever it is, your
Mhm.
family or career or whatever, shouldn't you be honored that God is putting you through that? Like he chose
Mm.
you to go
Mm.
through that because he thinks you're that like you're the one that needs to go through that to learn that lesson. Like you're that special to him. Like
Mm. And that's a
that.
different perspective though, right?
Mhm.
That's a different perspective because I know I haven't always thought that.
Me neither. Oh,
Going
it's
through
taking, it takes a bit, and that
does.
is one thing I'll add. If you're listening to this and you're young in your faith, it's not like I'm not trying to. It's not saying that this is going to happen overnight for you. And there are still times where I don't have the best perspective or have to take a step back and kind of check my heart and stuff like that. But I would say just keep going. Like it is so worth it. Like everything that you've gone through, you've gotten through.
Mhm.
You can get through
Mhm.
whatever you're going through right now. He
Yeah.
chose you to go through it. So you should be honored because he thinks you're that special.
Wow. Now that's a golden nugget. Ding ding. I need a bell. If you didn't know that if you are going through something, you that means that you have the strength to be able to go through it, right?
Yeah,
And
he wouldn't put you through it unless he knew that he could take you through it, one, and that you could get through it. Like,
that you can
he
get through
wouldn't
that
yeah,
part.
like
That part.
exactly.
And so you
Mhm.
talked about, praying in the bathroom and
Oh, yeah.
in the car and all that. So that's like more, I call those faith practices. Are there any other
Mhm.
faith practices that you incorporate into your fitness and your leadership?
So from the logo that I have, if you notice, the Faith and Training logo, the little T, it's a cross,
Hmm.
little things like that, even on my Instagram bio, Jeremiah 29:11, for I
Mm,
know the plans I have for you. That
mm,
is my life verse. I have 29:11 everywhere. It's right here. Let your faith be bigger than your fear. Like those are those little things. I know it sounds like corny and stuff, but there are stickers on the laptop. It's on my mug. Like,
mm,
whatever it is, like
mm,
that, just kind of those little reminders.
mm,
Along with praying wherever you are. That's your time with God. Like you can say those little silent prayers. You can be at your cubicle. You can be in line at Wawa. Like wherever you are, get used to get into that practice of saying those prayers. But the other things I would say are those little nuggets that I just throw in, for myself throughout the day in places that I know I'll be, whether it's in my office at home or at my cubicle at work. In my car, I've got the little 2911. It's above the visor on in the car. I always, I listen to K-Love, the Christian radio station. I have playlists that I listen to when I'm at the gym, like little things like that that can just bring you back and just kind of remind you. You'd be surprised what a your Christian song coming on at the right time in the right in that commute home can do for your mood, can do for your spirit, and then, that puts you in the right mindset. And then you open the door for somebody at the gym and then they get happy and then they smile and it's a domino effect, right? Like I'm a big believer in, you surround yourself with those little nuggets. For me, it's the stickers and the little things here and the quotes here and there, the background on the laptop and stuff like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Just and I put it in my Instagram bio, one, because I want people to know I'm a Christian, but two, because we all visit our profiles often. So every time I go to
Yeah.
my profile, it's a reminder to me that
Mm,
I've put that out there, you
okay.
know? So it's
Okay.
like a little check to me, like you purposely put that on your profile, like act like it. So
Okay. So I want to. I You said something that was interesting to me. Let's talk about a little bit. That you have the kind of some of the physical representations as a symbol, right?
yeah,
To remind you of, this is my faith statement. These are some of my
yeah.
practices. This is what I do, right? And so I want to kind of go in that direction a little bit in terms of your practices, your routines, and the things that you've done. In I don't want to say comparison, but as you maybe have clients that may not ascribe, to the same faith that you have, do you have clients like that? And if so, how do you then lead them in their fitness by your faith and lead them in the direction that they want to go in terms of their goals?
Yeah, I would say I definitely have a mixture of clients who are actually I probably have there's probably three categories. I probably have believers like
Mhm,
me that are, that are, fully, in it and then they're fully in their lives with Christ and in their faith and everything. And then I have believers who, they don't really they believe, but that's
mhm,
kind of where the buck stops. And then I
mhm,
have non-believers, right? Folks, I've got folks who are, Muslims, I've got folks who are non-denominational, agnostic, everywhere in between. But I
mhm,
always think back, and this is not me trying to compare myself to Christ, but I'm just drawing a correlation. Think about when he was on this earth, right? And how he treated everybody,
mhm,
right? And in
mhm,
2023, I won't get on my soapbox, but there are a whole lot of people who claim to be Christians who are not treating people like anywhere like they should be. All right. He loved everybody. All right. He had dinner. He hung out with back then who were the tax collectors who are pretty much like the scum of the earth. Like they were like they're like what do you call it? Persona non gratas. Like everybody hated them. He was hanging out with them. All right.
mhm,
Mary's prostitute. Okay. Like hanging out with them. He loved everybody. Like he treated everybody like they were his children, right? Like
mhm.
no, there was no discrimination. Nobody felt less than. If anything, he elevated those people. He made them feel like they could they could turn their lives around. They could be somebody, and do great things, right?
Right,
So I
right.
just try to emulate that in my life, right?
Mhm,
If and when I can find little pockets of conversations where I'm very fortunate. I have good emotional intelligence, like I have a good EQ, right? So
mhm,
when I'm having conversations with folks, I can kind of sense when there's a time and place to pepper certain things through. My Facebook group is fun. It's called Fun Fitness and Faith, right? Like
mhm.
you know what you're getting as soon as
We
you join the
come.
group and
Right,
stuff, but I'm
right.
not going to bombard you and make you feel less than for not having the faith that I do, the level of faith, or anything like that. But if
Mhm,
people I find that as you act like he did when he was on this earth and you treat people well and you love others and you're kind, inevitably
right,
people will have questions and
right.
people will want to know more. And
Mhm,
they're like, Steph, you're always so glass half full. You're always so optimistic. Or like, how do you get through, this or that? Or like, how are you always so like chipper and this and that? And, and when you have bad days and you're always talking about, this plan and you always feel like, everything is going to work out and stuff. And then you start opening up a little bit. And I've had people, go from just asking a question here and there to, hey, what church do you go to?
mhm,
And inviting them to church or, like letting them know like if they're and I've got clients all over the country. So I'm like, I've had a client who was in Houston. I'm like, oh, and I looked and I was like, hey, check out Hope City, or, like, check out this one or that. Like, little nuggets. I think you have to be patient.
Yeah.
Um, for some folks, it's gonna happen sooner than others. But if you emulate, what being a Christian really is supposed to be,
Hmm.
people will have questions, people will be drawn to you, and then that's your opportunity to really show them that you can have faith and also be a bodybuilder, also, be in the fitness industry and all of these things. And then you just pray for them. You pray for people. There's prayers free, man, and you can pray for everybody. You can pray for the guy who cut you off at the stoplight. You can pray for someone who opened the door for you. You can pray for everybody. And your prayer can be real simple, just God, just if in your time, just let the Holy Spirit touch their heart. And I
Mm,
and then you can pray for yourself to have the discernment you need. Like,
mm,
I always pray, Lord, let me show up the way that they need me to on
mm.
that day. You know what I mean? And you just keep doing that. And eventually they have their questions, and it opens the door. And some folks it takes longer, and other folks you haven't seen it yet, that, but you haven't seen it yet.
Right.
Yet.
Right. I like what you said, the prayer, Lord, help me to show up and be, the person that I need to be for this person. Right.
Hmm.
So I think that's real leadership right there, because when you're showing up for how that person, you need to show up for that person, you're going to influence them in the way that they need to be influenced that day.
I think,
True.
yeah, the last few years have taught us that we need different things at different times, and emotional mental health is huge.
Sure.
And I think if we can just, as a leader, you can just show up and be that open door for somebody.
Hmm.
A lot of more times than not, they'll walk through the door if you just open
Yeah.
it.
We need more time. I got so many
I am
things.
so enjoying this conversation. I
Yes,
just,
there's so many roads I can go down because you open a whole bunch of doors, and I'm like, my senses are going off. Bing, 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 bing. I can talk about this, talk about that. But I did want to get to, because I thought this was really important. With faith, with your fitness, with your leadership, and all of these areas that you've cultivated over time. What is your real why? Like, what is
mm,
Steph's why? Why
mm,
all this?
I had a difficult childhood. I had a lot of things happen in my childhood that I I needed leaders. I needed people to show up, and because of whatever reasons they just weren't able to.
Mhm,
And I have grown a lot through it, and I've actually gotten to the point now where I'm super thankful for my childhood. I'm super
mhm.
thankful for the things that have happened to me and that I've witnessed and stuff, because if anything, sometimes you just take from a situation that what not to do, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
super valuable, right?
yeah.
And and then growing up in the not most, like, not the healthiest in environment,
Mhm,
physical health, mental health. you know um I'm Hispanic. We grew up not eating the best things, and my parents didn't have the diet and exercise, and things just weren't a priority, and unfortunately their health has severely suffered because of it.
mhm.
um and things like fortitude, hard work, stuff, things that you're supposed to be taught. Unfortunately, I just, didn't get those things. And I
Mhm.
kind of had to fend for myself for a little bit, and it just kind of power through. But I
Yeah.
think through those lessons, I realized, like, if my why is, if I can just be there for, if I can just be there for other people, and
Come
just
on,
be
I'm with you. You got it.
just be that light,
Yeah.
and just show people that no matter what you go through, like, you can learn that lesson. You can take whatever you need to take from it and be that much stronger. That is my why. Like, that is why I think God made me so outgoing, right? Like, so I can walk into any room and I will talk to anybody and everything, because I have a story to share. And I think that helps other people feel seen, like, okay, like, I'm not the only one that had a weird childhood or
Mhm.
things happen or I didn't get that support or whatever it is, like, okay, like she gets it. And I
Yeah.
do get it. And I want to be there for other people. And if I can just continue to just share my story, share my light and help others and pepper in some faith in there, I think that's what God's purpose is for me. I feel like it's just to help others and be that beacon. So for me, I'm always going to look at things glass half full. My
Mhm.
motto is faith it till you make it.
Mm.
Faith it till you make it. And that gets me through the hardest days and will continue to get me through. And man, I just know God has some big plans for me. If I put in the work and I just keep showing up and helping others, sky's the limit.
I love that. And just for clarity, what does faith it till you make it mean to you?
In the beginning, when we said, you get knocked down, you get back up. You
Yeah.
like that song from like the 90s, I get knocked down, I get back up. That should be like my anthem
Yeah.
in life. But it is so true. You don't have to fake it till you make it. No, be yourself.
Yeah.
There's a place for you in this world, the way that you are. Okay. Show up the way that you are. So no faking it till you make it. But if you have faith that God's plan for you is so much bigger than you could even imagine,
Mhm.
okay? It will get you through those hard days and you will make it.
Mm.
I don't know what make it means for me. I don't know what my that end goal is, but
Mhm.
man, do I get fired up having the faith that I will make it. I'm every day I'm going to have faith and God will get me through hard days, the good days, and I will make it whatever that means to glorify him. Whew, I'm good. When you surrender to that, when you let go of that control,
Mhm.
the freedom you get, man, the freedom you get, just have faith every single day. There is a plan for you, and it is bigger and better than you could ever imagine.
And there may be some folks that listen, they're like, I hear you. I'm in a place right now where I'm struggling a little bit with my fitness. I'm maybe not the leader that I see myself to be or that I want to be. And my faith is a little shaky. What would you say to that person?
You have been through so much already. You have gotten through your hardest day already. If yesterday was your hardest day and you're here today, you got through it. So lean into that because you're a lot stronger than you're giving yourself credit for. And
Mm.
remember what I said earlier, if you are going through hard times, be honored in that. He knows you can get through it. He would not put you through it if he didn't know that you could get through it and that you in turn, if you choose to, you really could use that to glorify him and to show and be an example, a leader for others. Okay. So reframe it. If you're
Mm.
going through something really, really tough right now, you have already gotten through your hardest day. Okay.
Mm.
And you're still here and you're still fighting and you still got faith. Just keep showing up and it will happen for you in his time, but it'll happen.
Boom. Point. In God's time, it will happen. I
It
love that.
will happen.
I love that. So I want you to be my coach. Someone say, I heard her. I want her to be my coach. I like this whole lady. She understands faith, fitness. She's a leader. Like, how do I connect with her? So, how can someone lean into what you're doing? And do you have anything that you're doing right now? Share with us.
Yes, yes. So and like I said earlier, I am really focused on taking my coaching business full time. So I am accepting new one-on-one clients, whether you live in the South Jersey area, Pennsylvania area, or in California, we will make it work. So you can reach me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on there daily, a lot of times a day. It's just Steph Courter _fit. And then in there, there's the application you can apply or DM me if you want to ask me some more questions. I love to chat with folks, spend a lot of time in, the DMs, help, answering questions and stuff. So either way works. And you can also join my Facebook group. It is, if you just type in Facebook, Fitness, Fun, and Faith. it'll come up. I will accept you into the group. It is a great community of ladies. We share everything from recipes. I do live workouts, funny exercise memes. If you are having a bad day, good day, those ladies are there to support you and help you through. And you also are the first one to find out about like exclusive discounts and things that, that I can help you guys with as well. So either way works. I'm really excited to go on this next venture. So if you would like to have me as your coach, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you.
I love it. Steph, you are a gem. I so have enjoyed listening to you. Like I said, I could go down many other roads with the conversation because you opened so many doors that we can travel. So that just means that I'll just have to invite you back another time. How about that?
Well, I would be honored. That would be amazing. I've had such a great time. And I just want to say to your audience, you are a gem. And what you're doing with this podcast, it's going to, like, the impact that it will have, it will just be a ripple effect. Like I can feel it. I resonated with you the first time we ever met when you reached out about this podcast. I just had such a peace about it. So to your audience, go back and listen to every other episode she's got.
Thank you, Steph. I appreciate that. And y'all, all of her information will be in the show notes. Wherever you find this podcast, you'll find Steph as well. Thank you so much. Remember just to take one step so that you can be the best version of yourself. Replay this message, share it with your friends, and reach out to Steph. If you think that you liked what she heard and you know that she can help you, reach out to her and she'll be glad to serve you in that way. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Take Action Podcast. I truly hope you were inspired to take massive action to being your best self. If this resonated with you, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a beat. And write a review so we can share this message with as many people as possible. Head over to my hub, NicoleSimmonsLeadership.com, for more powerful resources to help you release your potential. Make today count. Take action.